It's been almost exactly 2 years since I've attended a Smash Ultimate tournament with Link, and today we're gonna figure out if my Link is still ready for a good competition. For this I attended a tournament called TNJ Tuesday, which had about 27 attendees. I wanted to start with a rather smaller event to get back into the game. Due to me being a jack of all trades lately and not a Link specialist anymore, I practiced Link about 2 to 3 hours before the tournament started. By the way, the practice session will be uploaded on the Sillintor Vault channel this week if you want to see it. It's just messing up Elite Smash, so your typical Vault content. The tournament started for me at 7:30 PM from my room. Yes, it was an online tournament. Because I had a higher seed than the majority of participants, I was waiting for my first opponent, who were either Green Candy, a King DDD and Meta Knight dual main, put Kirby in the mix, and you're probably Sakurai's favorite warrior, or DB, a Sonic main. If you would ask me who I'd prefer to fight, it will actually be Sonic. Yes, I know, it sounds weird, but I have nothing against a defensive set during a tournament. But today is your lucky day because Green Candy won against DB and I had to fight their Meta Knight in the winners round 2. So, let's get right into it. Winners round 2 versus Green Candy. The first game started on Smash Bowl, which is honestly an okay stage for Link in my opinion. I didn't really want to go on either Yoshi's Story, Link's worst stage, or a small battlefield and Pokemon Stadium 2 for the low ceiling. So, Smash Bowl it is. Fun fact, by the way, I fought Green Candy's Meta Knight on the same day during the Elite Smash practice session with Link. It is a very rare matchup for me and one of the characters which is tough fighting for me due to their evasiveness and their tiny body. It is really hard to hit Meta Knight. I think that the short practice session really helped me out in this matchup, because I had an amazing start with a 0 to death as you can see. One of Meta Knight's strong suits is definitely edge guarding, and Green Candy did a good job of keeping me in disadvantage once I lost stage control. Even though I had a 0 to death in the beginning, they were able to answer back and take my first stock before I took their second stock. It really seemed like they just had a slow start but got back into the game after their first stock was lost. And at some point I even lost my second stock to a Meta Knight down B combined with very bad DI on my part. The game was getting closer and closer, and then Green Candy found an insane opportunity for a Meta Knight combo and I got dragged up, and all I wanted to do was DI and SDI towards Meta Knight, and wouldn't you know it, the up B attempt missed thanks to my DI and SDI, and I barely won game 1. Game 2 started on Smash Ball again, and this time the game started close already, with me taking the first stock after I edgeguarded Meta Knight with a remount bomb. I got a bunch of credit on Green Candy's second stock, 69% in total, nice, but went down to a Nair of shield to lose my first stock. But I didn't give the Meta Knight player an opportunity to inflict more extra damage onto me and quickly took the second stock with my old reliable fair. The rest of the match it started to tip more towards my favor, and I was still on my second stock while Green Candy saw themselves on the last stock with kill percent. Basically anything Link can throw out kills now, and at some point I got the kill I deserved, but definitely not the one I wanted. GG's to Green Candy, let's move on to the next set. Winners Quarter versus Glacy. The first game started on Pokemon Stadium 2 against Glacy's Sonic. Honestly, Sonic is one of those matchups I really do not mind. Link doesn't win it by any means, but I always think in a tournament like this. There are multiple sets taking place at the same time, and we're currently in Winners Quarter already. No matter how long the set will take, the loser side will still have to catch up. I can just take my time to secure victory and play it slowly. No need to wear myself out against Sonic, because that is exactly what Sonic players want. And overall, I can say that this set was really all about inflicting a few amounts of percent with 2 to 3 hit combos and then going back into a neutral position. I wish I could tell you more how many awesome combos each of us did, but I really can't. That's just how I play the Sonic matchup. I mean, just look at the timer. We had an over 5-minute match going already, and we're now both finally at kill percent. It was just a matter of time who really finds the opening to end the match. And the player who found it was me with an up tilt. Let's go over to game 2. Game 2 was also on Pokemon Stadium 2. I think this is a pretty neutral stage between Sonic and Link, and I don't mind playing on it at all. This game was starting off way more aggressive than the previous one, and I found an insane stock to take the lead. At this moment I knew that Fair 1 into Fair 2 won't connect, so I took a shot in catching Glacy off guard with my F smash, which paid off. And right after the stock I immediately inflicted more percent onto the Sonic player with a huge string. It was really looking good on my side. I was even able to take their second stock before I lost my first stock with a cheeky grab into up throw. It was a tough mountain to climb for the Sonic player even when they took my first stock. Even luck was on my side, as you can see by this homing attack miss that brought the Sonic player off stage. And once they were in a disadvantageous position, I tried everything to keep them there and finally finished the set with one more up special scoop. GG's to Glacy. Let's get into Winner's Semi, which is already a best of 5. Winner's Semi versus Epic J Rules. Game 1 started off on small battlefield with Epic J Rules inflicting a huge amount of percent onto me with his Iggy. I was able to answer back with a few percent, but Epic J Rules got my stock with an up smash and went into the lead. But he really did not stop here and extended his lead even further with a huge combo and ultimately a stock loss on my side. Now I was down on 1 stock and Epic J Rules still had 3 stocks. Sure, the first stock was easy to take after a short amount of time, but I had to overcome 2 more stocks with my 3 stocks, which was not an easy task. Eventually I got the hang of the matchup and I was able to finish off Iggy after a huge mistake. Was it enough to get back into the game and win it? No, not really. Epic J Rules won game 1 and I lost my first game in the tournament. Game 2 we went on Hollow Bastion. Personally, I like this stage with Link more than Smashville because the platform in the middle is lower and gives Link better options just because of that. The stage pick definitely worked out for me as you can see, and I quickly disposed of Epic J Rules' first stock while only being on 17%. Now I thought everything you can do, I can do as well. So to strengthen my lead, I inflicted more and more percent onto the Iggy player until I finally took the second stock with a remote bomb, and now the roles were completely reversed. In game 1, Epic J Rules had a 2-stock lead, and now I have the 2-stock lead. The adaptation was on point and was also too much for him to overcome, leading to my victory in game 2. Game 3, Epic J Rules decided to go on Kalos, and this is what I had to say. Oh wow, I really don't know, is that good for Bowser Jr.? You can see that I questioned his stage pick, especially against Link, and there's a very simple reason for that. Set drop, bomb. And this did not only work once. I don't want to say too much about this game, because in my opinion Link can completely outplay Bowser Jr. on this stage, and the Bowser Jr. player must have very good mix-ups with his recovery to overcome the remote bomb from the ledge. I take that dub, let's move on to game 4. Game 4 was a complete switch from Epic J Rules' side. He switched not only to Pokemon Stadium 2, but he also switched his entire character to Pokemon Trainer. Under normal circumstances, I would have said that the Kalos match was just a bad pick and he should have stuck with Iggy, but Pokemon Trainer is one of my worst matchups and the switch can really throw some players off. Overall, I wouldn't say it was a bad character switch in this case because in the last 2 matches, I 2-stocked this Bowser Jr., so why not try out something new? While the game seemed pretty even on the first stock, it quickly turned into my favor after I adjusted my game plan from playing against Bowser Jr. to Pokemon Trainer. And in the end, I took game 4 with a final fair and moved over to Winner's Final. GG's to Epic J Rules. Winner's Final versus Clutchbox. Game 1 started on small battlefield with Clutchbox picking Mii Sword Fighter. Recently, Mii Swordy has been hyped up because of their 0 to death combos and new discoveries. And I think Clutchbox wanted to try this character out for a few tournaments. Usually Clutchbox is known for their min-min, and even has an offline tournament win over good players like Super Semi. I knew even though they are not playing the main character, this is gonna be a tough set. Also, Mii Sword Fighter is a character you usually don't see often, so matchup inexperience is usually a given. I know I am pre, or let's rather say post-shawning right now, but I thought it is more interesting to give you insight on the characters and players while the match is playing. If you like this style more than only play-by-play commentary, feel free to write that down in the comment section, or maybe you like a mix of both. That being said, I won game 1, let's move over to game 2. Clutchbox decided that the stage is not a problem whatsoever and that we're sticking with small battlefield. Also, I banned Town and City because I didn't want to get destroyed by Mii Sword Fighter's up special combos at 50% on the side of the stage. Overall, this game was already a bit closer than the previous match and you could see it from Clutchbox's adaptation. But during the whole set, I was always reminding myself that I am now fighting a version of Luigi that has a sword. So my game plan was simple here. Keep Mii Sword Fighter out and don't get hit by any of the 0 to death starters. At certain percent I don't have to worry about it as much anymore, but I don't want to lose my stock just from one interaction. At the end, game 2 went to me and we moved over to game 3, but it was definitely closer. Game 3 we went on small battlefield again and I used this crazy bomb down near pogo trick to not only land, but also launch Clutchbox into a real bad spot. They were on the very top right corner of the stage and used the air dodge, so I was easily able to finish the stock with another bomb. Being on only 42%, I had a huge lead and in this spot I can just keep my camping game up with Link and be safe from these Swordy combos. Clutchbox is not the only one who can adapt during a set, and I saw myself in a huge lead with 3 stocks and Clutchbox on only 1 stock left. Needless to say, the stock difference was too huge of a mountain to overcome, and I won the set 3-0 over Clutchbox. But they had this to say afterwards.
We'll see each other in grands with Min Min.
If Clutchbox wins in the losers final, I had to face the final boss, and this is exactly what happened. Clutchbox won 3-1 over Epic J Rules in losers final, and now I had to win against their Min Min in grand finals. Grand final versus Clutchbox. And as promised, I had to play against their Min Min. We chose Hollow Bastion as the first stage, and many people told me that it is one of Min Min's best stages. But personally, I really like this stage as Link, and honestly I didn't like the other options which were still available to me, so Hollow Bastion it is. I could definitely see that the Min Min is doing way better than the Mii Sword Fighter, and I was in a huge deficit. However, I had a cheeky trick up my sleeve by dropping a remote bomb without detonating it, causing Clutchbox 2 SD. Usually players try to tag the bomb explosion of the remote bomb, and sometimes I use this knowledge to make them SD by not detonating it at all. It doesn't work against characters with a good recovery, but Min Min definitely dies after an air dodge. But overall, this was just a cheesy way to get back into the game, and Clutchbox played way better than me during the entirety of the match. I evened it out in the beginning, but in the end it didn't really matter, and Clutchbox took game 1 over my Link. In game 2, I decided to go on Pokemon Stadium 2. I mean, I enjoy Hollow Bastion, but I have theoretically 2 sets to play if I lose. So why not try out some stages and let the adaptation kick in at some point. Either the stage pick works and I win the game, or I know better from now on and it's good for set 2. Clutchbox did a very good job against Link, but I felt like I didn't respect Min Min and her range too much. I think the last time I played against a very good Min Min in a tournament set was at Smash World Tour against Sillintor. That was in early 2021, over 4 years ago. And the other Min Min players I fought were all from Elite Smash, and trust me when I say this, there are not many Min Min players out there. So I had to gather as much knowledge as possible from the set to overcome this ranged demon. It was a close game too, but after a while, Clutchbox got my stock and took game 2. Game 3, I decided to keep Pokemon Stadium 2 because overall it looked better than Hollow Bastion. During this set, it was almost 11 PM my time and I waited over 1 hour to start playing this set. And I could already feel that I'm getting tired, so I had to make a decision. The first option was to try everything to reverse 3-0 Clutchbox in this set, and maybe winning the tournament. And the second option was to chill on game 3, actively analyze more what I'm doing wrong, testing out the range of Min Min's attacks and preserve my energy for a bracket reset. And my answer here was simple. I didn't think I would win if I tried as hard as possible to win this set now. I would have tried too hard, be disappointed that I still lost, and go into a grand final reset. Instead, I focused on how I could overcome this Min Min in the next set. Don't get me wrong, I never give up a set. It was more a case of preserving my energy while still trying to win and play the game. I mean, you can see that it was super close at the end of this game 3, but at the end Clutchbox still clutched it out and won the grand final set 1. But me? I used this game to chill out and start fresh into the grand final reset. Now it's time for the grand final reset, and we decided to go on Hollow Bastion in the beginning. And everything I said in the previous match worked out perfectly for me. I changed up my game plan against Min Min. I was watching out more for the arm angles, if it's a smash or a tilt, what arms Min Min exactly has, and knew from which side I can approach to accordingly punish Clutchbox, and the first stock went quickly to me. On the second stock I kept up my game plan and waited for my opportunity to arise for a proper punish. My trusty projectiles helped me out a ton here, and knowing the range of Min Min now, I was able to figure out how far I can stay away while still being able to punish with a remote bomb or boomerang. Overall my adaptation was on point and I was in a huge lead, 3 stocks to 1 stock against Clutchbox, and then this happened. Hello? Yep, we got a connection error. Well, it was not me who had the problem, it was Clutchbox apparently. Don't worry, the tournament is not gonna end like this. It was just a short interruption, but how exactly did we resolve the situation? It was actually pretty simple. Clutchbox gave me the win for game 1. I mean, it was 3 stocks to 1 stock. It would have been hard to make a comeback here, and the next best solution would be to start a game with the same amount of percent and stocks again. Clutchbox probably thought it is better to go into a fresh game instead of wasting energy on a probably already lost game. So let's move on. Game 2 we had a full switch. Not only did Clutchbox go on Pokemon Stadium 2, but they also switched from Min Min to Steve, everybody's favorite character. To be honest, I like to fight against Steve, but this game I was just not keeping up my typical game plan against the blockhead. I got hit by about every trick in the book Steve has to offer, and I felt really stupid for that. Anvil, Minecart, everything, you name it. And to top that all off, Clutchbox's combo game with this character was insane. I got hit by one grab and ate about 100% for that. The character switch definitely paid off for Clutchbox. I even got hit by the up special into up smash combo, which I never get hit by with Link. I did not play the matchup correctly at all. And in the end, I got grabbed one more time by Clutchbox, and then it was just a stairway to lava, and my last stock went down to an up smash. But at this point, I knew what I was doing wrong, and I was hoping for Clutchbox to stay on Steve. Game 3, I went on Battlefield. Clutchbox stayed Steve, and this time my head was in the game. What I usually like to do against Steve is throwing my projectiles, especially my remote bomb, and letting him mine. Yes, I know it sounds stupid, but honestly, I didn't really need to approach that much with Link. If Steve players mine, they get access to diamonds, gold and iron. But from my perspective, no matter what I would do, they would get it anyway. So instead of falling for the Steve traps with triple walls, ledge planks and so on, I just throw my bomb and time my explosions properly. And it paid off. I know it is a super boring way to play this matchup, but special situations also need special measurements. Otherwise you won't overcome this matchup. I think this is something everybody has to see for themselves. I know that many people will say that my way of playing against Steve is not optimal. And this might be true. But it is the optimal way for me personally. Other players can play a more aggressive game and get away with it. I succeed in the defensive game against Steve. And one more arrow into explosion was enough to seal the stock and the game. It is 2-1 now for me against Clutchbox. Game 4 was the potential tournament match. If I win this game, I win the tournament. Clutchbox switched it completely up against me again and changed the character from Steve to me, Sword Fighter. But this time the stage was Town and City. Honestly, this was totally my B, because I knew that they were switching characters, but I didn't ban Town and City. So not only did I have to adapt to me, Sword Fighter again, but I also had to overcome this character on Town and City. And to my surprise, the me Sword Fighter was working way better than the Min Min and the Steve here. This match was as even as it can get, and we both just traded blows one after another, until we found ourselves both on our last stock. I had several opportunities to take the last stock, but I barely missed my shot or it barely didn't kill, and then I was in a hairy situation. After a missed grab, Clutchbox used a down tilt and I was airborne. They went for a very risky up special that would have totally murdered me from this position, but I escaped by a few frames and pixels. I was not sure if I can make it, so I had to use an air dodge to be safe. Which also meant I was not able to punish the up special attempt. But I'd rather stay alive and not punish than risking it all and potentially losing. At the end, I threw my bomb at Clutchbox, but it had too much knockback and I couldn't hit the explosion to confirm. But they air dodged and self-destructed, securing my victory in Game 4 and in this tournament. GG's to Clutchbox, it was a very fun Grand Finals.
That was rough. You have a fucking good Min Min and Steve. And the Misodi is getting there, trust me.
Even after all this time, my Link still has it in him, and I won the tournament. It was definitely not an easy task, but it was a good feeling to finally attend the tournament with him again. By the way, you know the player Epic J rules? The Iggy player I fought before? He is one of the tournament organizers for the series, and there are many tournaments him and other organizers host in Europe. I put the bracket link in the description, so feel free to check out the tournament page. I think there's a Discord link as well. But before checking it out, I have to give you a quick warning. The majority of tournaments I attend are European only. I know most people who watch my videos are from the good old USA, and that's why I want to give you a heads up before joining, so you don't get disappointed if you cannot attend the tournament. Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you enjoyed this tournament run, and if so, feel free to like, share, comment and subscribe. Also, if you want to see more casual gameplay, feel free to check out the other channels, Sillintor, Vault, Clips and VOD. See you all next time, have a good one, bye bye.